Today I come to you from the Ashby-Hodge Gallery of American Art.
Welcome to the second gallery in our Ashby-Hodge gallery. This is the second one, and we have here today actually part of the Holman collection, which we received last year, and we now are showing part of it. Actually, last summer we had the entire collection in terms of Bill and Martha Holman gave us a complete collection of their work, which was about 70 paintings. And so we had the entire collection this summer as part of the summer show, and now we have presented only part of that collection in this fall show, and you'll see why we collected these basically in the gallery 2 is what we're going to talk about. I should say that, again, Bill and Martha both were graduates from Central in the 40s, and Bill actually interrupted his own college career to become a member of the Air Force during World War II. And after the end of that war, Bill was in Europe at the time, and many of the paintings that we have in the entire Holman collection were actually bought by Bill while he was there after the end of the war. That's why these paintings that we're going to show you this afternoon were basically, most of them were from France, although there were many also in the collection from Germany. And we were really fortunate to see this collection come our way after the Holmans both were deceased, and the family then gave the entire collection to us. We're very, very happy to have some of these pieces in this collection because they really are outstanding artists, as you'll soon discover. We'll start here with the Cocteau, John Cocteau. Basically, this is simply a print by Cocteau. Cocteau, of course, was a man who was a man for all seasons. He wrote many essays and books. He also was a film director. He was an artist himself, and as I say, he really knew everybody in the first part of the 20th century. That was part of the whole France, especially the whole Parisian artistic life at that time. Cocteau was involved with everybody. And so we have here this wonderful print by Cocteau with his signature. This is, as I say, really quite good. Let me just try to tell you who else is in the collection, and then we'll zero in on a few of them. This is a Jacques Verlon, 2 pieces by Jacques Verlon. Jacques Verlon, again, this is an etching, this is a print by him. He was the brother of Marcel Duchamp, who again was one of the avant-garde artists at the time. Here we have the 2 pieces by Alexander Calder, one of the few Americans in this part of the collection right here in Gallery 2. But Calder was made famous for his huge mobile sculptures at the time, but he also did many lithographs of some of the works that he was going to use as the basis for his huge, gigantic mobile structures. And we have these 2 beautiful examples here by Calder. Over here we have one by our friend Marlowe. And then over here we have my favorite. And this is basically an artist who was a prince in Africa, George Urban Adringa. He wanted to become an artist, although he lived in a world in Africa whereby he could have become a king. He was a prince at the time when he said, no, I want to leave all of that and go to Paris and study art and become an artist, which he did. He met many of the artists at the time, especially I think Picasso was one person that I think he definitely learned a lot from Picasso at that time. And we have these three pieces here, this triptych by George, that he shows you where he was going with the cubistic structure that he learned from Picasso. Picasso was working with Cubism at the time, and you see here the cubistic elements coming out in these three paintings by George. I think also you will discover that these masks that we see in these three pieces here, this triptych, tell you something about what Picasso was doing at the time, experimenting with African masks. And so we find here that George is probably teaching something to Picasso about African masks, just as Picasso is teaching him something about Cubism at the time. So we have a nice marriage of ideas going back and forth there. What is so interesting about these three pieces, though, have to do with the fact that he does not use canvas here in the back of these paintings, but he is using burlap. And the burlap he will use as a background of the painting, and then he'll use sandalstone and oil to give you that interesting, almost like a satin structure there in terms of texture that comes out here. You almost have to look at it up close to see the texture that he has captured here in these three paintings of trying to present this abstract, concrete idea of these masks and what he's trying to do. But it is quite almost velvety when you look at it in trying to get the feel for what he has captured with this burlap and with this sandstone in his artistic media here. Very unusual, quite stunning, I think. Over here, probably we have the painting that is most famous, the most famous one in this gallery, in this particular gallery at this time, and this is a piece by Renoir. It's a portrait of Bertha Morisot, and she was a very refined impressionistic painter, just as Renoir was one of the finest impressionists in the late 19th century. And so we have here, this is a etching of a portrait of Bertha Morisot done by Renoir, because they were very close friends. In fact, this is the second portrait that Renoir did of Morisot. Morisot again was quite she, as I say, learned quite a bit from Monet and Monet and all those other impressionists at the time. And Renoir certainly has captured her here in this very beautiful etching, which, as I say, is really quite outstanding. We have here two Miros, again, a very surrealistic artist who was having fun as he did his own work. This is a woman and a bird here. Again, very, very much a colored lithograph here is what we have of Miro's idea of doing something very abstract and yet very surrealistic. Here we have a cat and a woman, and the son there is having fun there with the woman and the son. And then we have a etching by Salvador Dali. This is again just a brief portrait of El Cid, the famous Spanish conquistador at that time, El Cid. And this is just a little etching again by Salvador Dali. I should say that we do have in the collection 5 big, huge, wonderful works by Dali, which were given to us from another patron of the arts, another friend, Dr. John Hutchison in Denver, Colorado, gave us some wonderful Dali paintings, huge paintings that we have in the collection. Here's a little Matisse, a little Henry Matisse etching, which again is very, very small, but yet very important in terms of what Matisse was doing at the same time when we're talking about Renoir and the whole group of impressionistic paintings at the time, and the works that we have coming out of the late 19th century. And over here we have a small piece by Marie Laurencin, who again was part of the Picasso group in the late, or I should say early 20th century. She was a good friend of Ashby-Hodge and Gertrude Stein and Picasso and that entire whole entourage at the time. And Gertrude Stein talks about her quite often in her autobiography of Ashby-Hodge. She talks about Maria Laurencin. So we have here a lovely little again a lithograph. I should mention here, I wanted to show you a few other pieces here that are on the walls in Gallery 2. Over here we have a etching by our very famous Rembrandt from the Renaissance period, just to show you that Bill Holman did not concentrate totally with the French paintings by and large, but he did move over to Holland and catch this very, very, when you look at the big paintings by Rembrandt, you don't ever see these little etchings by him, but this is a very gorgeous, very minute piece by Rembrandt there. And over here, I wanted to show you a piece that here's an artist that I should have mentioned earlier. This is an artist by Robert McDonald Graham, again, a major artist in the collection, going all the way back to Dr. Ashby and what he was doing. Ashby was very fond of this artist. This was a student of Thomas Hart Benton, and we have, again, in the collection, we have, I think, 30 or 35, 40 pieces by Robert McDonald Graham. Again, we knew him very well. We got to become very, very close friends of his, and we have some major works by Robert McDonald Graham in the collection, thanks to Dr. Ashby, who got us started on getting to know him and collect works by him, which we did. And over here we have a little etching here by Lionel Barrymore. We all know Lionel Barrymore from the films, and we know that the Barrymore family, of course, was very important in the acting theatrical world. Ethel and John Barrymore, and then Lionel. But we have also here showing you that Lionel was not just big in the film business, but also loved to do his own little artworks. And we have a little etching here, very small, but still shows you what Lionel could do in his spare moments when he wasn't on the screen. A little etching there by him. And so basically all we're showing you here is just part of the huge Bill and Martha Holman collection of 70 pieces that we have in our collection, and we are trying to show you some of the highlights of that collection during this autumn show. We are now in Gallery 3, and before I introduce this gallery with Denise telling us all about this art in here, I just wanted to make sure that everybody will know that I am now the registrar at the collection, and that is how I have now still stayed a part of the gallery after being a part of it from day one. But I now try to really stay in control of the collection, and all the new pieces are keep coming in as the registrar of the collection, and that is what my job is now. But let me give this over to our curator and let her talk about this wonderful show in Gallery 3. Denise?
Thanks, Joe. Well, as Joe has said, we are in Gallery 3. The works in this room are all by Columbia College art professor, as we had in Gallery 1, another Columbia College art professor. This is Bo Bedelian, and he is a ceramicist. The title of his show is Polka Dot Pottery Blues, and it has a very interesting connection from the past to the current as far as the pandemic, as we've all undergone the isolation and some of the downtimes due to COVID. As Professor Bedelian was contemplating that, and he began to make a connection between art and health, as he did some research, he began to discover that during the Middle Ages, during the era of the plagues, that people would affix a polka dot to their clothing, and that would be a warning to stay away. So as he thought of that, and that plague, and the current plague that we are still experiencing, that is where he got the name Polka Dot Pottery Blues, because all of his works are pottery. So there are many variations here. As you can see, this shelf next to me, there are 4 items. There are many shelves around the room, each with cups or little pitchers, etc. As we look at this piece, this is a collage of 4 different plates. Each one of them are individual plates. They have their own little hanger on the back. All of the things in here are food grade quality, so these are actually could be used as individual plates for serving, but instead he has grouped them together as this collage on the wall. So as we go through the room, you see over and over again the use of these polka dots, and they're quite obvious. So here we see it in the little picture there on the shelf number 1. As we look at the center of the room, you see all of these various vessels, different sizes. Many of them have little tops that come off. Again, they will all hold beverages or food as you wish. This has been a very popular show. People really seem to be excited by it. There's a great sense they can really, I think, relate to it. They like the name, Polka Dot Pottery Blues, and that connection to the current pandemic. On this back wall, you see it's a very long vertical presentation. And you might think of that as mountains and snow. And I think you can perhaps see that again. These are individual plates that he has assembled in such a manner. On this shelf, again, you see there are, 5 different examples of his pottery, various sizes, various shapes. Again, this wonderful little jar, if you will, with a removable lid. Also want to point out that in the gallery there are 3 bowls, or perhaps you might want to call them platters, again, as part of this overall exhibit and the variety of pieces that he has provided here. To my left, there's this very large piece, and you might think of this as snow on the ground. And these are individual plates that he has assembled together to make this one really stunning collage here on the wall. So as we move from this large collage here on the wall, the next piece I would like to point out is this other vessel. Again, it has a removable lid, but as the artist has described at one point, these are sort of like ghost dots, and it means that you really need to come up fairly close, but in the process of the painting and the firing, there are recognizable little polka dots, but again, they're very, almost invisible, but they are indeed there. So that's something I wanted to point out. And then this last piece, this is the largest piece here in Gallery 3. And again, thinking about mountains and snow, again, this is a very large assemblage of all of these individual pieces, very similar to what you've seen in some of the other works here in the gallery. We want to thank you, Rick, for this opportunity to showcase the Ashby-Hodge Gallery. We feel it is truly a treasure. Sometimes we refer to it as the hidden gem of Fayette, Missouri, and in Missouri as in general. We also want you to know that the hours that we are open are Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. And at other times you can contact us and if you want to set up a special tour, we are very happy to do that. And you can find us on Facebook and on Central Methodist University's website, and our phone number is 660-248-6304.
Dr. Geist, do you have any closing words?
No, we want to thank you, and we hope that we do have people coming from Jefferson City and that area over to the gallery at any time. We try to open at all possibilities for people coming from a far distance. So we definitely would love to have them come and see what we have here to offer. As you know, this show is up until mid-November, and then we will have a Christmas sale, a brief Christmas sale for 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. I think that people might like to come and see what we have on display for our Christmas sale. After Thanksgiving for 2 weeks, and we'll have some art from some of the students also in that 2 week span. Is that correct?
That's our plan, that's what we hope, yes.
I think so. So we would love to have you come anytime to see our shows, and as we try to tell you, we do change quite often, and so there's always something new on the walls. Thank you, Rick, very much for opening up your program to us at this time.
And I want to thank Dr. Joseph Geist and Curator Denise Haskamp for inviting me this time. It's really been an educational, informational, something else, surprises that you have here, that the public, we're talking Renoir, so we're talking all famous artists. So I hope this opens the door up to the world, as the show will be broadcast now on a new streaming network called GIAJ, Global Media OTT Network. It's a worldwide streaming platform. Also on Fan4Me, which is another worldwide. So we're going to introduce the Ashby-Hodge Gallery of American Art to the world today. Again, thank you both for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
And thank you, viewers, for watching. It's Rick J. saying, thanks so much. There's more coming on Spotlight on the Arts. See you next time. Hello, fellow artists, entertainers, songwriters, creators, what have you. I come to you on Fan for Me with Rick J. Presents, where I interview different artists, musicians, songwriters. As aforementioned, I have chosen to present my content, my brand, if you will, to a worldwide audience because Fan for Me has no boundaries. It's free to sign up and you get paid automatically. You don't have to wait for 1,000 viewers. I encourage you to sign up and research it and join me, the biggest stage on earth. Fan for Me.